they're going to roll a d6 to see which one they're going to take. They can go in advance. They can wait a little bit and get one die gets re-rolled, or they can wait all the way to the end. So let's see which one they choose. 5. They're going to wait till the end and roll 2 dice. Okay, Wargamers, here we are back again with turn 3 of Xenomorph 1642. And it is time to deal the cards. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, let's go with our kings. Where do we have a king? I don't think we have any kings left. We don't. We have a queen, X1. X1 is a queen. X1 is... Where did X1 go? X1 is right here. And X1's going to join into that combat. All right. Let's roll some dice. And the pikeman wins 6-3. 6-3 is a difference of 3. Add +1 to the wound roll. All right, our wound roll is a 4. Makes that a 7. That's a wound. Can he make his saving throw? Yes. All right. So that is it for queens. Now we go to jacks. Don't see any jacks. 10s. We have a 10 here. The commander. The commander has a 10. All right, hang on 1 second here. All right, our commander is right here. He is in hand-to-hand combat with 3 Xenos. That is not good at all. He has shock. He needs to reload his pistol, so he can't use his pistol. He does get +2 in combat, and he is determined, so he's going to ignore shock and wound penalties. So he's going to roll a d10, and the Xeno he attacks will roll a d12. It looks like they're all 3 of them are wounded, so let's go with the lowest number, which will be X5 right there. And that is 4-7, difference of 3. The Xenomorph will add 1 to their wound roll, which becomes a 5. And that is a shock marker. Unless he can make his armor save, he does not. So he's going to get another shock marker. All right, any more 10s? Yes. Arquebus 3 has a 10. Arquebus 3 is over here. They don't have anyone to shoot at. So they're going... Arquebus 3. What should they do? Arquebus 3 is going to rush into this combat. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these guys here. And they're going to come around like so. we can put, get that X1. So we pick that up. All right, so we can get 4 of them into combat. 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 1 Xeno. And you know what? Let's not do it that way. We are going to do it this way. This Xeno here, Xeno 1, is going to have to fight these 3. So they're going to get a +2, which makes it 9 to 8. That's a bonus of +1, which is no bonus to the wound roll. The wound is a 10. Yikes, that's 2 wounds for one of the arquebusiers, and he does not make his save. So we're going to wound this one right here. And Xeno number 1 is going to push him back. So he's going to go up there. All right, so that's 10s. 9s. I have 2 9s. Xeno 5 and then Xeno 6. Xeno 5 is going to fight the commander. It's a 10 to 10. That's even. All right. Xeno 6. Xeno 6 will fight the commander. Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. -1 for the wound. So the commander wins. That's what I get for that. Let's roll that again. The Xeno gets -1. The commander gets +2. All right, so the Xeno has a 10. The commander has a 6. That's a difference of 4, +1 to the wound roll, which is a 1, which makes it a 2. That'll be a shock marker unless he makes his save, and he does not. So that'll be another shock marker for the commander. All right. Ugh. 8s. Xeno number 10. Xeno number 10 is here in combat with the arquebus. 4 versus 4. That's a tie. Nothing happens. All right. 8s. Any more 8s? No. We do have a 7 for Xeno 11, and he gets to reroll 1 die. Xeno 11 is here. So let's go ahead. Oh, I missed this jack. Okay, we're going to go back and do the jack, because that's... Nope, that's arquebus 1. All right, these 2 guys are going to fight that one. Let's do that real quick. 7 to 9. The Xeno wins. That's a 10. No, I'm sorry, that's a 9. So 2 wounds, unless he makes his save. He does not. So 2 wounds on that guy. So 2 wounds and a shock marker. All right. Now, Xeno 11. Or was that Xeno 10? Xeno 11. Xeno 11 gets to go, and they get to reroll 1 die. So they're going to move up here into contact. They'll be -1 for fighting over. I mean, -3. Six to 2, difference of 4, +1 to the wound roll. The Xeno wins. He gets a +1. That's an 11. That's going to be 2 wounds unless our boy makes a saving throw. He does not. 2 wounds on the Arquebus. Put that right there. All right, so that jack is done. We did that 7. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. We have a 6 here. We have another 6 here. 6 of spades goes first. Xeno 3. Xeno 3 is over here. He is in combat with 2 spearmen. 1 is the sergeant. +2. 12 to 3. That is a difference of 9. +3 to the wound roll. The pikemen are killing it here. Pikeman sergeant, he gets a 10 +3. That's 13. That's going to be 2 wounds unless the Xeno makes a save. He makes his save. That's going to be 1 wound for the Xeno. All right, that's 1 6. We have another 6 here. Xeno number 8. Xeno number 8 is in battle with this fella here, which he already lost, so he's at -3. It's not good for him at all. That is going to be 12 to 3, difference of 9, +3 to the wound roll. Makes that a 13. That's going to be 2 wounds unless he makes his save. He does not. He is going to be toast. So, Arquebus 1 is going to lose a man. Put it right there. Sixes. Any more 6s? No. We have 3 5s. Spades goes first. Arquebus 1. We have 2, 3, 4. So these 3 are going to attack that one. He's going to attack that one. So let's do the one-on-one first. That Xeno has a shock marker. He gets a -1, so that'll be a 5. 8 to 5 in favor of the Arquebus. That's a difference of 3. +1 to the wound roll makes it a 5. 6, 7, 8. That's going to be a wound unless he makes his armor save. He does, so he's going to get a shock marker. The shock marker for X10. Now, 3 Arquebus versus 1 Xeno, +2. So, the Xeno has a 9, the Arquebus has an 8. Difference of 1, no bonus to the wound roll. Wound roll is 1. It's going to be a shock marker unless he makes his save, which is a 1. He does not. So, Arquebus 1. These guys are all going to have a shock marker. Okay. That was our first 5. The next 5 is X2. X2 is over here. Where's X2? Where is X2? X2 is this one, who has a shock marker. Okay. He's going to fight against Pikeman. Get a +2. So that is a 12 to 6, difference of 6, +2 to the wound roll. That's a 4. Shock. Can they make his armor save? Yes. All right. So that's negated. And another 5. Xeno number 4. Xeno number 4. Right here. Going against the sergeant. Again, we get a +2, so that's 10 to 6. That's a difference of 4, +1 to the wound roll. And that's a difference of 4 +1. That's a 3. Shock marker for the Xeno, unless he makes his save. He does not. Shock marker for the Xeno. Xeno number 4, right there. All right. And now we're down to 3s. Pike number 2. What should they do? What should they do? They are going to move a little bit and face this way. They're facing this way now. And the next phase, our commander is going to get out of there. So that's Pike 2. Arquebus 2. They're going to fight back here. There's 2 of them that can fight that one. They're going to get +1 for their 2 people, -1 for fighting over the wall. So it's a 9 to a 9. That's a put. Oh, I'm sorry. 7. And this one has 2 wounds. So 7 to 7. All right, that's still a push. All right. We're down to 3s. Arquebus 2. That was Arquebus 2. And then down to 2. Xeno number 9 can roll 2 dice. Xeno number 9 is right here. He's not doing anything right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this rock just a little bit. We're going to move Xeno number 10's stuff. Xeno number 9 is going to get into this combat. And the Arquebus has a shock marker. -1 to the Arquebus. They have an 8. Xeno has a 6. They win by 2. No bonus. Wound roll is a 5. That's going to be a shock marker unless he makes his armor save. He does not. Shock marker for Xeno number 9. And our last is Xeno number 7. I should have moved this up here. This is Xeno number 7. He's in combat with our commander. He's got a -1. All right. 4 to 2. Difference of 2. No bonus. Wound is a 2. That's a shock marker unless our commander makes his save, which he does not. So that is going to be yet another shock marker on our commander. That is not good at all. All right. The good news is for him, he doesn't have to face that. So, all right. So now we are all in melee, all around, and it's going to be a slog to see who's going to win what. And because here we have units, and here we have units, we're going to switch over to units. And whenever I activate Pike 2, they're going to charge in here, and they're going to fight as a unit. So let's go ahead and we'll shuffle the cards and deal out for turn 4. All right, turn 4. We've dealt all of the cards. And kings, 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 kings. Arquebus 1 has a king of diamonds. Xeno 4 has the king of hearts. So Xeno 4 is going to go first. Xeno 4 is here. He has a shock marker. So Xeno 4, 3, 2, and 1. 4, 3, 2, and 1 are all going to go at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So they're going to get a D12 plus 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 for the markers. The pikemen are going to roll a D10 plus 1 for the sergeant and plus 1 for formation fighting. So they get a plus 2. So minus 3 versus plus 2. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. The pikemen win big. They're going to add plus 3 to the wound roll. The wound roll is a 9. That's going to become a 12. That's going to be 2 wounds. Do they make their armor save? No. So that's going to take out 2 of the Xenos. So we're going to take out these 2. X3 and X4. All right, so that's kings, 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 kings. Xeno number 5. Xeno number 5 is here. So 5, 6, and 7 are all going to go at the same time. There's 3 of them versus 1. So plus 2 for the Xenos. The commander gets plus 2 for combat bonus. So it's going to be a push. 9 to 4. The Xenos win by 5. No, I'm sorry. There's 3 wound markers. We're going to take off. We're going to take off 1 for that. So it'll be 8 to 4, 8 to 6. That's a difference of 2. No bonus. Wound roll is a 10. 2 wounds on the commander. Can he make his save? No. He's going to take another wound. All right. He has no wounds. What he does have is 4 shock markers. All right. That's it for kings. Queens. Queen of spades. Xeno number 10. He can remove all the shock markers. So we're going to do all of these Xenos at the same time also. So these guys, their shock markers are going to come off. And that is Xeno number 10, 9, and 8. Three of them versus the 4 arquebuses. The arquebuses are a unit. They will get a plus 1 for formation fighting. Four for the Xeno, 7 for the arquebus, minus 1 for the shock marker. So that's 6. So a difference of 2, no bonus. Wound roll 6. That is going to be a wound. Can our Xeno make his save? save. No. All right, so that's going to take out one of the Xenos. We're going to take out number 10. All right, we're down to, we have another king here. Arquebus 1. Arquebus 1, Arquebus 1, Arquebus 1 is here. These guys. Okay, so they're going to fight. They have a shock marker. They fight in formation. They're going to, that's a wash versus the Xenos. The Xeno gets a 10. The Arquebus gets a 2. Difference of 8 plus 3 to the wound roll. That makes that a 4. That is going to be shock. Can they make their armor save? No. So they're going to get another shock counter. All right, that's Arquebus 1. High card, Pike 1. Queen, heal 1 wound. They don't have any wounds. So the Pikes are going to attack the Xenos. 2 Pikes. All right, so Pikes get 1 die plus 3. I'm sorry, plus 2. Plus 2. Plus 1 for formation fighting, plus 1 for the sergeant. So that's going to be a 12. The Xenos get a 3. Minus 1 for the shock marker. That's a 2. A difference of 10. Plus 3 to the wound roll. The wound roll is an 8. Plus 3 is an 11. That's going to be 2 wounds. So they make their armor save. Yes. So that's going to be 1 wound. So 1 Xeno is going to be taken out. Jack, Pike 2. Pike 2 is going to get plus 1 for close combat. They are going to charge in here. There's a lot going on here, so I'm just going to move them up against like this. All right. Xeno, or the pikemen get a plus 1 for formation fighting. The Xenos get a minus 1 for the wound markers. Five to 4. Difference of 1 in favor of the Xenos. No bonus. 8 for the wound roll. That's going to be 1 wound. Can the pikemen make their save? Yes. They're going to get a shock marker. All right, now we're down to 10. Arquebus 3. Arquebus 3 is going to continue their movement. They're going to all fight this guy here. Arquebus 3 will get a plus 1 for the sergeant, plus 1 for formation fighting. Well, they're not really in formation. We're going to just give them a plus 1 for the sergeant. They get a 5. The Xeno gets a 3. Difference of 2. No bonus. The wound is a 2. That's going to be a shock marker unless he makes his save, which he does. And they're going to push him out 2 inches. So Xeno number 1 is going to go over here. All right. The next highest is a 10 for Arquebus 3. That was just that. We just did that. Next we have a 6 for the commander. He automatically gets to reload. And then he's going to fight. He gets a plus 2. Eight to 5 in favor of the Xenos. Actually 9 to 5. The Xenos have a plus 1. Because there's 3 of them. Plus 2 because there's 3 of them. So 2, 10 versus 3 is a difference of 7, plus 3 to the wound roll. No. 8 to 3, plus 2, minus 2. 5, difference of 5, plus 2 to the wound roll. 6 is an 8. That's 1 wound unless the commander makes a save, which he does not. All right, so he is going to be taken out. Xeno 11. Xeno 11 is here. He's going to fight against the Arquebus. He's got a -3. The Arquebus have -2. -3 for the Xeno. 6 minus 3 is 3. 8 minus 2 is 6. That's a difference of 3 in favor of the Arquebus. Plus 1 to the wound roll. 6, that's a 7. That's going to be a wound unless he can make his save. He does not. That's going to be the end of this guy. That's Xeno 11. Alright, this is going a little faster now. And finally, Arquebus 2. They're all right here. Arquebus 2 is going to move like so. I'm going to take this guy off for the wounds. So that's Arquebus 2. And then we're going to put these guys into battle with these guys. All right. And let's go ahead and deal the cards. We've got a lot less cards to deal now. All right, we're now on turn 5. And our high card looks like a queen right here. But Xeno number 7. This is Pike 2. They are going to go first. Unless Xeno number 7 wants to go first. Because they have a wild card. They're going to make this a king. And Xeno 5, 6, and 7 are all going to go at the same time. Actually, Xeno 5 had roll 2 dice, so you know what? We're going to wait. They're going to wait and go last. He's going to wait on that. Well, shoot. Or else they won't get to use it. What should we do? What should we do? Let's roll a die. 1, 2, or 3, the Xenos will play the ace as a king. It's a 2. All right. So 5, 6, and 7 are going to go first. Xenos. 3 Xenos. +2. -1 for the wounds. +1 for the Xenos. Pikemen. +1 for formation fighting. -1 for the shock. So +1 for the Xenos. And they get an 11, which is a 12. -7 is 5. Add 2 to the wound roll. The wound roll is an 8. That becomes a 10. That's 2 wounds unless they can make their save, which they do not. That's going to be 2 more pikemen down. And that is exactly what they were looking for. All right, now, Pike 2. They're going to get to go. And the numbers will be the same. The Xenos get a +1 to their roll. 11 to 5 Xenos. Difference of 6 +2 to the wound roll. That becomes a 4. That is a shock. Do they make their save? No, they get a shock marker. All right. That was a queen. Jack. Arquebus 1 gets +1 in close combat. -2 shock markers. So Arquebus 1 is going to be at -1. They're in formation. They get a +1. That's going to be -0. So straight up roll. Xenos get an 8. Arquebus gets a 9. They win by 1. The wound roll is a 10. It's going to be 2 wounds unless they can make their save, which they do. They're going to take 1 wound. We're going to take off Xeno number 8. Because it's the lowest number. Who was that? That was a Jack, right? Yeah. So now we have a 10. Arquebus 2. These guys here, they do not have a shooting target, so they're going to sit tight. Arquebus 3. They are going to concentrate fire on Xeno number 1. Okay, so the fireplace will, or the fire will matter now. So they don't have a -1 for that. They do get a +1 for concentrated fire. So they'll need to roll a 4. They hit. The wound roll is a 9. That's going to be 2 wounds unless he makes his save. He does not. This Xeno will take 2 wounds. Excellent. That was Arquebus 3. Arquebus Xeno number 9 is going to get to fight against the Arquebus. They're going to be at -1. Six to 2, difference of 4, +1 to the wound roll. Wound roll of 10, that's going to be 2 wounds unless they make their save. They don't. They're going to lose 2. That's not good at all. Not good at all. Okay. We're down to Pike 1. They get to roll 2 dice in close combat. They are going to charge this fella right here, who's kind of back up against the wall. Move them up like so. All right. He's got 2 wounds. That's going to be -2. The pikemen have a +1 for formation fighting and a +1 for the sergeant. So that's a total of +2. So the Xeno is going to have a 3 - 2 is a 1. The pikeman has a 4 + 2 is a 6. It's a difference of 5. Add +2 to the wound roll. That's an 8, going to be a 10, 2 wounds unless he makes his save. He does not. It's another wound. This Xeno is going to be gone. Xeno 1. All right, and that's all the cards. And we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4 Xenos left versus our troops. All right, I'm going to hit pause and deal the cards. All right, turn 6. This is really interesting. I decided to go ahead and leave these as units, and I didn't know whether I should continue to pull cards for all 3. So what I've done is I drew cards for 5, 6, and 7. And they have a 9, they have a 7, and they have a 2. The 7 is reroll 1 die. The 2 means they roll 2 dice in close combat. So, this is what's going to happen. They're going to roll a d6 to see which one they're going to take. They can go and advance. They can wait a little bit and get one die gets re-rolled, or they can wait all the way to the end. So let's see which one they choose. 5. They're going to wait till the end and roll 2 dice. All right, so our highest is King. King of Spades for Arquebus 1. Arquebus 1, they are in combat here. They are at -2. They have less than half of their dudes, so they're not going to get to count as a formation. So they're -2. And they have a -1. The Xenos have a 2. The Xeno wins by 3. Add 1 to the wound roll. That makes it a 6. That gives them a wound unless they can make their save, which they do, so they get another shock marker. Wow, that was interesting. Xeno number 9 is tough. And let's see here. So that was a king. Looks like the next highest is a 9 for Arquebus 2. Again, Arquebus 2 have no targets, so they are going to rush into combat with Xeno number 9. And I can get 4 guys into combat with him, which will give them a +3. So 7 to 7, that's going to be a push. Next up, we have a 7 for Arquebus 3. They get to reroll 1 die. They've defeated their enemies over here. Arquebus 3 is going to reform. Well, they're just going to move into the ruined chapel. And then we have 6 and 6 for Pike 1 and Pike 2. Pike 1, they have an auto reload, not that they need it. They are going to reform facing this direction. Pike 2. Pike 2 has 2 shock markers. They're going to fight against the Xenos. So it's going to be -1 for the Pikes. They have a 3. The Xeno has an 8. Difference of 5. +2 to the wound roll, which makes that a 4. So that's going to be a shock unless they can make their save. They do not. They're going to get another shock marker. And then we have a 5 for Xeno number 9. He is badly outnumbered. And then the arquebusts have 3 shock markers. So -3, -1, difference of 11, +3 to the wound roll. That's a 12. 2 wounds on the arquebusts unless they make their save. They do not. 2 of the arquebusts are going to go away. We're going to make these arquebusts go away, these last 2 guys. And that's going to be the end of Arquebus 1. Arquebus 2 is in combat with Arquebus 9. X7. 5, 6, 7 are going to go. They get to roll 2 dice in close combat. So they're going to roll 2 dice. -1 for the wounds. +2 for the extra men. The pikemen are going to roll at -2 for the shock markers. So 2 dice +1 -2. All right. The Xenos get a 12. The pikemen get a 3. Difference of 9 +3 to the wound roll, which is a 1, which becomes a 4. That is still shock unless they get a 8, which they do not. That's another shock marker. These guys are buried under shock markers. All right, that is the end of turn 6. Let's clean it up and deal the cards. All right, turn 7. Let's go ahead and roll for 5, 6, and 7 here. They have a 4 and 2 5s. What are they going to do? They're going to go with the 5. Number 9 has an ace. He can do a wild card. You know what? They're slippery. So he's going to try to get away from this combat. Yeah, he can fight back. He'll fight back. Arquebus 2 gets a... Arquebus 2 gets a +3. 13 to 10. +1 to the wound roll, which makes that a 10. 2 wounds unless he makes his save, which he does not. That's going to be 2 wounds. Or does that take him out? No. The way we're doing it here, that's going to take him out. Xeno number 9. All right, 10. Arquebus 3. No shots. There's literally only those 3 left. 9. Arquebus 2. They are going to come over here and get in combat with these guys from behind. All right, they're going to count as formation fighting. They'll get +1. They'll get +1 from attacking from behind. The Xenos will have a -1 for their wounds. I just rolled 2 12-sideds. Xenos get a 7. The Arquebus get 8. So they win by 1. No adjustment to the wound roll. It's a 2. It's going to be shock unless they make their save. Which they do. All right. Arquebus 2. Pike 2 is in battle. They are at -3. That is going to be a difference of 12 +3 to the wound roll, which is a 12. That's 2 wounds unless they make their save. No. 2 more pikemen gone. And then Xenomorph number 7. They are going to get a plus. They're going to be 0. The pikemen are going to get -3. 5 to 5. So Xenos win by 3. +1 to the wound roll. That's a 9. That's a 10. 2 wounds unless they make their save. They do not. 2 wounds. And finally, we have Pike 1. Who again don't really have anything they can do very much. But the campfire is kind of in their way, so they're going to move over here. All right. And that's the end of turn 7. Turn 8. Now, turn 8. Turn 8 is where we have some victory conditions. So let's go ahead and check those real quick. The Imperial Detachment survive 8 turns and have at least 10 models remaining. They hold the line long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Right now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 models remaining. All right, so they can get a minor victory. If they just hold out for this turn. So let's see what happens. This is what matters right here. So let's go ahead. We're just going to draw 3 cards, 1 for the Pikes, 1 for the Xenos, and 1 for the Arquebus. So Xeno number 5 gets an 8. Arquebus number 2 gets a 3. And Pike number 2 gets an ace wild card. They are going to roll 2 dice, which I believe is that's a 2. Because they have to go last anyway. Or they can go first with all kinds of minuses. Oh my goodness, what do we do? What do we do? What's the little 2 dice card? I'm pretty sure that's a 2. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna just switch this card out with a 2. That's how they're gonna play their wild card. So, Xenos will go first. They're going to attack those pikemen. Pikemen have a -3. That gives them a 5. They would have won, but they have a 5, so they lose by 1. No modification to the wound roll. That's 1 wound. Do they make their save? Yes. All right, so they're going to stay put. No, the Xenos are going to push them back. They're going to push them back 2 inches. That's what they're going to do. All right, so the Xenos are there. Next up, we have Arquebus 2. They are attacking the Xenos. They're going to get a +1. The Xenos have a -1 for their wounds. $11 to 1. Difference of 10. +3 to the wound roll. That's going to be a 6. That's 1 wound unless the Xenos make their save. They do not. So that's going to be a Xeno out. And finally, Arquebus 2 will attack. This is the second combat. They'll get a +1. They're in formation fighting. They get a +2. The Xenos are at -1 for their wounds. 6 to 4. Yes. So, the Arquebus wins the combat 6 to 4. No bonus to the wound roll, which is a 2. That's just going to be shock unless they make their save, which they do not. So the Xenos will get a shock marker. That's the end of turn 8. And the humans will survive long enough for reinforcements to come and defeat the final 2 Xenos. So there you have it. Even though Commander Sturm hit the dust, it is a minor victory for the humans. And so for the campaign, that means that they'll ride back to the Lord's Manor, get their reinforcements, and come back to the forest where they find the rift to the demon world, and they can pass through and fight the other battle. You'll be able to download the PDF with all of the rules for this in the Substack post at wargameculture.substack.com. And I look forward to hearing from people who play the second battle. So, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you so much. Be sure and hit like and subscribe. And as always, keep on gaming.